And it broke. That's why they went with not seeing the shark. That made it even more terrifying. When you didn't see the person that was attacking the women and with the knife, that made it scarier.
Welcome back to Under Oath. Unpopular opinions, horror movies.
Okay. Classic horror movies aren't as scary as people claim. Modern horror does it better.
No.
I'm going to agree. I'm wholeheartedly going to agree.
No, it's not fair. It's not fair to judge the difference.
But it's still a true statement. It's not fair to judge, but it's still true.
Oh, so you're going to say the same thing about basketball?
Yes.
Oh, you're going to tell me that we're going to downplay Chamberlain, Shaq, guys like that because the game changed?
I'm saying it's not the same.
It's not the same,
fair
but it
assessment.
doesn't mean that they're not great.
I'm not saying they're not great. I'm just saying they're better now. That's my opinion. If I go watch, let's say, The Wolfman, I go watch Frankenstein, I can understand why this was great. I understand how
We've been desensitized. That's not fair. It's a different question.
I don't think it is. I think it's semantical at that point. I just think what they're saying is,
for example,
still a great movie. I give you that. Psycho was great in the way that Jaws was.
When you turn around,
and let me explain what I mean by that. Jaws was scary because you didn't see the shark.
Bruce?
Yes.
The shark's called Bruce, if you know, because his eyes were weird.
Yeah, and it broke. That's why they went with not seeing the shark. That made it even more terrifying. When you didn't see the person that was attacking the women and with the knife, that made it scarier. There are certain things that they could do, techniques they use to make the movie better.
They're also not allowed to do what they did now.
Absolutely.
I think if you would take a horror movie today and try to get it an R rating that what was R 30 years ago, they go, no, this is X. This is an X-rated movie. The horror, it's too disgusting.
Yes, it's too gory.
Like you could be too gory.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were some horror movies that they said, hey, guess what? It's an X-rated movie, and they had to pull back on it because they said, no, this is worse. This is bad.
But what they're saying with this opinion is they're not great. They're saying they're not as scary, and I agree with that. That's just true. The movies back then aren't scary the way that they're scary today.
Different scary.
Yes. There are certain movies that hold up, like The Exorcist. That's a scary ass movie.
You know, like when you think of the Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
And you think that dude coming at the chainsaw.
That's gory.
Now we're used to chainsaws coming at us.
Yeah, we are.
We weren't used to somebody getting cut up with a chainsaw.
But they set a precedent with that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same. But that could be said with anything. Science fiction isn't as good as it used to be.
Yes, absolutely.
Will Blade Runner hold up?
Mm.
You know, and Blade Runner, I think, is the best sci-fi movie ever. I got to tell you, Star Wars 1, I don't care what numbers you got, the first Star Wars. I can't even do those number systems. Screw you guys for screwing with me.
Gotcha.
The first day in Star Wars. Okay. Crappy movie.
Really?
I can't watch it. I sit there, I tried to watch it with my daughter, try to introduce her. I'm going, God, this movie seems long.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing's off. It's slow.
At the time, that was normal pacing for a movie. Nowadays, because everyone's attention span is 2 seconds, everything has to happen.
But that's the excuse for everything now.
Yes.
We can agree,
Yes.
oh, well, that's not as good as it was. Would Forrest Gump hold up?
Yeah.
No.
I think so.
No, because then you'd go, you're believing in the abuse. She stays with the abuser, everything else like that. Our politics have changed.
You mean you couldn't get away with probably making Forrest Gump in certain scenes?
You couldn't. They'd say you're making fun of him. Also, we couldn't allow Tom Hanks to play a special needs person.
No, you couldn't because
Tom Hanks says I shouldn't have done that. I'm going, are you out of your mind?
It was one of the greatest
you
movies
are the
I've ever
best actor
seen.
on the planet. So let me get this straight. We're not going to use you
to act. Yeah, it makes no sense.
All right. Let me do this one. Horror comedy hybrids are more enjoyable than pure horror films. Scream.
Okay. You mean taking horror and taking a teen film and kind of combining it?
You put some humor in it.
Yeah.
There's somebody who used for plucky comic relief.
Yeah.
Do I think I need to see humor in Aliens or Predator or Michael Myers, or something like that? I think it all has its place. And think of outside of Scream, name a really successful horror comedy.
Little Shop of Horrors.
That's not a horror. That was campy.
Yeah, it's camp.
It was funny. You had what's his name? The guy
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis from Ghostbusters.
Love that movie, by the way. Yeah.
Feed me, Seymour.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I really can't. Off the top of my head,
I mean.
I
I
can't.
don't. I think people are stuck.
if you do but it's a parody. If you're talking like
think of
scary
remember
movie.
Action comedies didn't exist until the 80s.
Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Die Hard.
Die Hard, absolutely.
Midnight Run.
Oh, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Great
but those
movie.
are, I think when you're
Ghostbusters. Yeah, we said that.
No,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is a comedy.
Oh, through and through?
Nobody's scared. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, stop it.
That is scary.
And remember Rick Moranis going, he turns into the dog and they have sex.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, come on. That was a comedy that they made. It's like Young Frankenstein. It was on the side of Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
Any movie with the Wayans brothers, was that done that way?
Evil Dead. Evil Dead's a good one.
Well, that's campy.
It is campy, but it does kind of walk that line of horror comedy.
I mean, I'm trying to think zombie comedies.
Nightmare on Elm Street was that. There was a lot of comedy in Nightmare on Elm Street.
He had a line.
He did a lot of funny things when he killed kids too. I know it's horrible to say that. You have to. It was the 80s. It was a different time.
All right, what do you got?
Psychological horror films are better than supernatural horror films.
Psychological.
Silence of the Lambs.
Psycho. What else we have?
Texas Chainsaw.
Right. But what survives long term? Halloween.
Supernatural.
Jason.
Supernatural.
Freddy. Leprechaun.
So what's one that we could look at where someone degrades and becomes like they lose it? They go insane.
Well, there's always the guy who gets pushed to the limit.
Yes.
There's always those movies. Oh, come on. I got the one, that when he's a kid, he gets abused. And then later he becomes this bad guy. I think Scream was that one where the mother becomes the killer.
Mm-hmm.
She becomes the villain because her son gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
Or the friends, they're not respected. I mean, you have every Stephen King movie.
Misery.
Yeah.
Misery's a good one.
With the writer, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Where she humbles. What is she?
Well, you think she's the savior, and then she ends up being a lunatic and breaks this guy's ankle so he won't ever leave. Like, it's insane.
But there's some comedy. I think almost every Stephen King that didn't have a supernatural element to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's weird because you think of some movies that one thing about Stephen King that people forget is his best work wasn't horror. He wrote a lot of short stories under a pseudonym called Richard Bachman. And they were called the Bachman books. And when I start mentioning these movies, you're going to go, that was Stephen King?
I had no idea.
The Running Man.
Didn't know that.
Stephen King. Stand By Me.
What?
Stephen King. Yeah.
I did not know that, man.
It was written under a pseudonym, Richard Bachman.
Gotcha. Oh, let's talk about the ultimate person just becoming crazy over the movie, The Shining.
Yeah.
The Shining.
But was that supernatural too? Because I mean, the blood in the room, the red rum, where she was seeing things.
But there was seeing things. It was more madness. It was more
You couldn't
manic.
do that movie now because
No, you didn't.
that
Nah.
director, what he did to Shelley Duvall,
Kubrick, right?
yeah, what Peter
He tortured her.
Oh, he tortured.
He tortured her.
He told everyone to treat her like crap and just abuse her, and she still talks about it. She goes
Just to get in the character, which is
well,
crazy,
she's
by the way.
gone now, but she
Yes.
was.
God rest her
I
soul,
mean,
but yeah.
Could you imagine this? That you're the role you're most known for, the abuse you took on that set, just so that he could get that
Reaction from
Now
you.
the question is that art?
No. That's an abuse of power. My opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's what it is.
It's manipulation
Absolutely.
and abuse, and
Yes.
yeah. All right, let's get off this horror stuff. It's wearing me out. I know it's October, but it took me a while to get that out of me.
Heebie-jeebies?
Yeah, it gives me the jeebs.
Yeah.
Not the jibs, the jeebs.